real-time real estate segment today being brought to you by the area-trusted real estate professionals of Ron Siegel Radio. Visit rsrhomescout.com, rsrhomescout.com. Is the housing market correcting? If you're following the news, all the headlines about conditions in the current housing market may leave you with more questions than answers. Is the boom over? Is the market crashing or correcting? Here's what you need to know. The housing market is moderating compared to the last 2 years. But what everyone needs to remember is that the past 2 years were record-breaking in nearly every way. Record low mortgage rates, millennials reaching peak home buying years led to an influx of buyer demand. At the same time, there were not enough homes available to purchase thanks to many years of underbuilding and sellers who held off on listing their homes due to the health crisis. This combination led to record high demand, record low supply, and that wasn't going to be sustainable for the long term. The latest data shows early signs of a shift back to the market pace seen in years leading up to the pandemic. Not a crash nor a correction. As Realtor.com says, quote, the housing market is at a turning point. We're starting to see signs of a new direction, unquote. Home showings then and now, the showing time, showing index, backs the traffic of home showings tracks the traffic of home showings according to agents and brokers. It's a good indication of the buyer demand. If you're watching us on ronsiegelradio.tv, any of our social channels, the ABC News and Talk AM 1490 video feed, you're seeing a graph showing skyrocketed the last 2 years. The 2019 numbers give a good baseline of pre-pandemic demand. As the graph indicates, home showings skyrocketed during the pandemic. That's in blue if you're watching us. And while current buyer demand has begun to moderate slightly based on the latest data, showings are still above 2019 levels. And since 2019 was such a strong year for the housing market, this helps show that the market is not crashing. It's just a turning point that's moving toward more pre-pandemic limits. Existing home sales then and now. Headlines are also talking about how existing home sales are declining, but perspective matters. Here's a look at existing home sales going all the way back to 2019 using data from the National Association of Realtors. And we've got another graph right there. Again, a similar story is emerging. The pre-pandemic low numbers shown in blue beat the more typical year of 2019 home sales shown in gray. And according to the latest projections for 2022 shown in green, the market is on pace to close this year with more home sales than 2019 as well. It's important to compare today, not to the abnormal pandemic years, but to the most recent normal year to show the current housing market is still strong. First American sums it up like this, quote, today's housing market looks a lot like the 2019 housing market, which was the strongest housing market in a decade at the time, unquote. Bottom line, if recent headlines are generating any concerns, look at a more typical year for perspective. The current market is not a crash or a correction. It's just a turning point, more typical pre-pandemic levels. If you have any questions about this, give me a call. And hey, just remember, I know interest rates are rising dramatically. We put together a couple of different scenarios for you. Now, they were done last week, so they're outdated. But take a look at rsrpaymentassist.com, rsrpaymentassist.com, and you can actually see right there a scenario where we can get payment assistance. We've also did rsrpaymentassist1.com, the numeral 1, rsrpaymentassist2, the numeral 2.com. So those are all different scenarios of how maybe you can drop those interest rates down a little bit to try and help you get a new home. That's the real-time real estate segment, again, brought to you by the area-trusted real estate professionals of Ron Siegel Radio. Visit rsrhomescout.com, rsrhomescout.com. Find that dream home. And if you know of any friends, family, or coworkers looking to buy, sell, or borrow on real estate, ask them to give me a call, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990.